As we saw in the last video, there's unfortunately been distasteful incidents that have in part ended several players' NHL careers. But there's also been several controversial incidents that have happened at the hands of players who were punished but allowed to resume play after being disciplined. In this video, I'm going to go over 4 players that have been fined and/or suspended for controversial actions. And with that, here are 4 NHL players that have been disciplined for polarizing actions. Most of us know fair and well that the postseason tends to bring the worst out of players, due to the high intensity. But it was during Game 4 of the Western quarterfinals in 2016 that Andrew Shaw allowed his emotions to get the better of him, in the worst way possible. The sequence of controversy took place amid the final frame of play, against St. Louis. Shaw became quickly unhinged following the official's ruling of his interference on Jay Bouwmeester. Shaw could be shown displaying offensive gestures towards the official while calling him a few choice words that he would later come to regret. Following Chicago's Game 4 loss, Shaw was not only met with the disappointment of defeat, but also of a 1-game suspension, as a forward had also uttered a homophobic slur in retaliation towards the referee from the penalty box. Therefore, not only was Shaw made to sit out for Game 5, but also was given a $5,000 fine and forced to undergo sensitivity training upon the league's ruling. After sentencing, Shaw apologized for his actions, saying, "It was hard to see. Emotions got the best of me. I'll never use that word again, that's for sure. That's not the type of guy I am," he says. When Brandon Manning made headlines last January, it wasn't the first time that the defenseman had been the subject of controversy. Before, ironically, he began playing for the same team as Oilers captain Connor McDavid, the two had a very lengthy feud that became a spectacle among the hockey world. This time, though, Manning didn't get away unscathed, as far as the AHL was concerned. After allowing his frustration to get the better of him following an altercation of the opposing team, mid-frame, Manning could be heard using racist slurs against him. This not only resulted in a lengthy 5-game suspension for the blue liner, but he was also dealt a misconduct for his antics, in-game as well. After his punishment was handed down, Manning later called his words stupid and offensive, while also claiming he apologized to his victim, saying, "He allowed me to apologize. I took full responsibility for what I did," he says. "To say that I learned from the situation is an understatement, and I promise to be better." Whether or not it was lack of talent or this incident alone has yet to be determined as to why Manning is currently an unrestricted free agent. During his time spent in the NHL, Sean Avery was easily one of the most polarizing figures to have ever played the game. From the Avery role to tossing water bottles at unsuspecting fans, Avery proved to be, with his constant antisocial behavior, always stirring the pot. And upon mid-season's approach in 2008, the forward, while in Calgary with the team pre-game, decided to take a verbal jab through the media at Flames defenseman at the time, Dion Phaneuf. Following a morning skate, Avery, who was apparently feeling frisky, entered the locker room reportedly asking if there was a camera present. Once informed that there was, Avery said, "I'm just going to say one thing." He then went on, in summary, to make derogatory and offensive statements directed towards Phaneuf and his girlfriend at the time, Elisha Cuthbert. Once League Commissioner Gary Bettman got wind of the controversial comments, he quickly took action, ensuring that the forward would not dress for the game later that evening, while saying Avery made inappropriate public comments not pertaining to the game. And along with lead disciplinarian at the time, Colin Campbell, Bettman suspended Avery indefinitely. After serving a 6-game sit-down with no pay, Avery was given the go-ahead to resume play with Dallas. Well, if they wanted him back, that is. Upon his return, Star's co-general manager at the time, Brett Hull, elaborated on the decision, saying, "You have to do what's right for both parties, and that's what we're really trying to do here," he says. "I thought Sean could bring a little bit of change in our locker room and on the ice, which I thought was missing. Obviously, it went overboard and it didn't work out," he says. Something about those pesky Game 4s. Anyways, this Game 4 that took place in Nashville in the 3rd round of the 2017 postseason is probably one that Ducks captain Ryan Getzlaf would like to do over. In what quickly became a contest immense with tension, took a turn for the worse during the overtime period between the two teams, as Getzlaf, who was enraged at the official for not making calls, decided to unleash a verbal tirade against the nearest referee. The forward continued the assault from the away bench, but claimed screams that no one could hear it in his apology. A situation like that where I'm on the bench by myself, frustration set in, Getzlaf says. There was obviously some words said that not necessarily directed at anyone in particular, it was just kind of a comment. I've got to be a little bit more responsible for the words I choose. I understand that it's my responsibility not to use vulgar language, period. Whether it's a swear word or whatever it is, we've got to be a little bit more respectful of the game, and that's up to me. Fortunately enough, nobody heard it, he says. Remorseful or not, the captain was dealt the maximum fine allowed by the league in the form of $10,000.